That's my pizza with another Langrisser Mobile video, and today I'll be reviewing some group stage matches from the Summit Der Langrisser community tournament. And for those who don't know, the Summit Der Langrisser tournament is a tournament run by WikiGrisser, with some cash prizes for the top players, but for the most part, it's just a bunch of top-ranked Langrisser players just hanging out and playing. So today I'm going to review first I'm going to review Lord Gelmud and Brojio's matches. So let's get into it. So first off, let's just look at the general composition for both boxes. So Lord Gelmud, it looks like he's running a very AoE hybrid 3-tank strategy with a heavy focus on mythical realm. So I'd say he'd probably try to go in for Reen or Bozal as a carry for his team, or try to have either Elwyn or Yulia carry his team. And then for Brojio, it's very similar, but it has a bit more rush element to it, in that he has Estelle in his box as a third tank, with Akaya as another rush support, and he just has a lot of other AoE units in his box, plus Elwyn and Deedlich and Yusuke, which kind of don't really fit. But in any case, Brojio bans out Juggler first, and then Lord Gelmud bans out Brojio's Rosenseal first. And here I'm just kind of curious why Brojio didn't actually ban out both of Lord Gelmud's tanks, because what could happen right here is he could just first pick Akaya or first pick Estelle, and then he'd essentially have the range advantage on Lord Gelmud, and he wouldn't be able to guard any of his units. But yeah, so Brojio picks out SP Elwyn first, which I think is a bit of a mistake, since he still he left both of Lord Gelmud's tanks, and both of his tanks can run Lancer soldiers. And so Lord Gelmud gets rid of Juggler and Deedlit, and Deedlit's bans probably because he didn't want to deal with the infantry disadvantage, and then he didn't want to, and for the Juggler pick, he just didn't want to deal with the AoE that comes from Juggler. In any case, he picks up Lando, and it's an okay pick, but he doesn't really synergize with the rest of his box. Brojio picks up Listel so he can rush in with his team, but honestly, I think Akaya will probably be a better pick for that, since she has a bit more utility. Then Brojio picks up Ares and bans out Zerida and Licorice, which I can understand because Bozal buffs both of them, but honestly, I think he really should start going with AoEs, because he's going to have a hard time busting through that Landius. And then finally, Lord Gelmud gives her off to buff up Bozal, so he doesn't need to waste a skill slot on Bozal to buff him up. And then Brojio goes Yusuke to help buff up his single target damage. I'm not too sure why he picked that. Maybe it was to leave. So it was because he could do more damage with Arianra, but honestly, I just kind of feel like his general box composition is a bit weaker than Lord Gelmud's. Okay, so essentially, Lord Gelmud is just buffing himself up so he can take all the damage from Brojio, and essentially, if Brojio isn't able to kill any of his tanks like within 1 or 2 turns, he's pretty much lost, because he won't have any skills to keep hitting his tanks with and kill them off. So essentially, Brojio's just rushing in as fast as he can, so Lord Gelmud doesn't have enough time to actually set up, and I'm just trying to see a win condition for Brojio, and I'm just not really seeing it at the moment. So yeah, Lord Gelmud is just buffing himself in and just getting ready to tank everything. And he sends in Elwyn first, which I think is a bit more questionable because essentially he's not going to be doing much damage to either Albedo or Landius due to just the typing. So I was thinking it would have been probably smart to send in Aryan Road or Ares in first because he could just dispel a bunch of buffs and make it a bit easier for him to kill off either Albedo or Landius' first life. In any case, Albedo takes the hit, doesn't get debuffed, and then she gets the RNG Trimesis buff from her 3C, and Elwyn practically does no damage. And so Lord Gelmud's just buffing himself up more, and then he sends in Ares to dispel a couple buffs from Landius, and it actually almost kills. Like, if that Ares had a last rites, I think he would have killed that Landius' first life, but it doesn't kill him, and then just his entire team gets a bunch of healing from Rosenseal's crystal healing, and then Rosenseal uses her 3C and pretty much heals his team back up to full. So yeah, there's really not much he can do at the moment. And Albedo gets Lucky Thorns proc, which almost kills off Aryan Road, and then Aryan Road uses her 3C and does a bunch of damage and dispels a bunch of buffs, but Rosenseal's crystal healing just heals them back up to full. So yeah. And now Bozel just drops in a big black hole and just debuffs and damages all of Brojio's units, and he throws out another AoE and down goes Aryan Road. So yeah, there's really not much Brojio can do at the moment. He already blew most of his skills on his initial assault, and he pretty much just does no damage. Elwyn uses his second sword soul and does nothing to Albedo, and then Gizarov just uses 3C, and he's going to finish off Elwyn right here, since Elwyn basically isn't alone, so he doesn't get his revive. So now it's a 5v3, and Lord Gelmud basically has all his healers up, all of his healing up, and Brojio only has Yusuke up, and he can't inflict any debuffs because of Rosenseal's Crystal Guard, and pretty much at this point the match is over. So yeah, I think Lord Gelmud's just gonna use his last skill on Albedo, and Albedo doesn't die. So yeah. Yeah, I agree with Jagger. You really don't want to give 2 revival tanks to your opponent if you're running only single target. But the thing is, Brojio wasn't running a bit of a mix of AoE and single target rush. It's just, I don't think he drafted well enough to make his strategy effective. So let's go into the second game, and so Brojio loses Rosenseal almost immediately, which is fine, I guess. Honestly, he should probably try to get his speed boosters immediately, since that's how his box is built. But he goes for Ares first instead, which I like Ares. He's a good unit, but I feel like if you don't have the right kind of support, he's not going to get the kills that he really needs to get to be useful. So this time Lord Gelmud also bans out Rosenseal again, and then Lord Gelmud picks up Juggler first. So it'll be a bit hard to just rush and single target down his entire Lord Gelmud's team, and then Brojio picks up Juggler as well. So it looks like he's trying to go into tank push as well, but I don't think his box is really built for that. And then Lord Gelmud picks up Bozel, and then bans out Weiler and Albedo. And then Lord Gelmud gets rid of Yusuke and Bozal, so Yusuke doesn't buff up Aryan Road, and then Bozal could just add on a ton of debuffs. Brojio gets rid of Ares and Florentia, which is okay. I think I probably would have aimed to ban out either Reen or SP Elwyn or Yulia in this case, because he doesn't. Brojio really doesn't have any good dispellers left, and Juggler will struggle a bit against SP Elwyn if Juggler doesn't have Stone Colossus built up. So Gelmud picks up Gizarov so he can buff up both Juggler and Bozal, and then Licorice is probably going to be delegated to healing, and then I think Gelmud's going to pick up SP Elwyn there. So I'm just kind of looking at Brojio's box in general. Well, picks this time, and it's kind of questionable in my opinion. Though that's a kind of interesting pick on the Licorice, because it pretty much allows her to move in water, so she won't be affected by Juggler's 3C. So essentially Brojio's doing his regular stuff where he's just rushing up with his movement buffs, and he uses Dark Dragon's Breath for some reason, and I think that might be to just ward off the Elwyn, but honestly you really want to save those skills to do damage, because if he's not able to like AoE down the enemy team quickly, he's not going to win in a sustained fight. So Brojio sends in Ares and does like only half health to both Bozal and Licorice, and whiffs the kill. Honestly, he probably should have brought his single target skill instead, because that might have dispelled some of Juggler's buffs, but whatever. Then Brojio throws in Juggler real fast, and I'm just kind of worried about these plays, because just looking at the range of his other allies, like Estelle is way far back. She won't be able to dive in. Aryan Road is out of range of all of Lord Gelmud's units. So is Licorice. So essentially, these two units are pretty much pretty much on their own and can be picked off for free. And then Elwyn pretty much can go in and just pick up the areas for free. So yeah, just the positioning and the positioning is just very aggressive, and Brojio wastes Licorice's 3C for some reason, and really doesn't accomplish much except for healing up his units, which honestly he should have saved until like Elwyn went, but one, Licorice is in range of Elwyn, and then two, his Ares is also in range of Elwyn, and this positioning is just very sloppy, to say the least. So yeah, Lord Gelmud tosses in his Juggler, does a bunch of AoE damage to Brojio's team, and dumps Aryan Road in water, and then Brojio uses his 3C on only Juggler. Dispels a couple buffs, but honestly that's not really impactful for how good that 3C is. So yeah, Licorice is dead here. Yeah, so just overall, just very sloppy positioning on Brojio's part. Like, he needed to approach this a little bit slower, or just not run a tank and just go full in rush. But it's a bit unfortunate. So Juggler goes in, gets sword solded by Elwyn and dies, and then Brojio hits Juggler once and pretty much does nothing, and then Ares is dead here. Yep, Ares is dead, and all Brojio's left with is Estelle and Aryan Road. And yeah, Estelle on her own cannot just 1v5, well 1v6 one Gelmud, and Aryan Road already blew her 3C, so she's not going to be doing a lot of damage in the long run. So yeah, it's just kind of, this is pretty much over at this point. So yeah, Iron Road gets a Blood Shield proc, but pretty much Lord Gelmud's probably just gonna slowly just pick off Brojio at this point, and yeah, Lord Gelmud wins both of his matches. So yeah, overall I'd say Lord Gelmud played pretty well, just a very slow tank push style, while Brojio was playing a very single target rush oriented box. And I just kind of feel like Brojio needs to re-examine the weaknesses of his box and then have a little bit more better, improve his draft phase a little bit more, because if he's able to ban out both enemy tanks and then pick up either Estelle or Akaya, then I think he'll be in a very good spot for winning a match. But just kind of goes to show that you need to have a very strong in-game and draft game if you really want to win Apex. Okay, so there's that, and on to the next set of matches. One moment. So the next one is Supremo versus Campanella, and let me just pull that up. One moment, let me just pull that up. Okay. Okay, so Supremo. Okay, and regular. 1 second. And let's try a capital. Yeah, this is the annoying thing about searching for names cross server, is that you actually capitalization is actually important. So check name card. 1 second. So heroic moment. So Campanella versus Supremo. Okay, so let's start up the first match. So let's just do a quick box breakdown. So looks like Campanella is running a very single target oriented box, which I'm just kind of surprised there's no like speed buffers in this box besides Deedlit. Like in a single target box like this, usually you'd see at least an Akaya or a Estelle or some unit that can use a sprint, because that'll just essentially give them an overwhelming terrain advantage against their opponent. But in any case, Campanella loses Rosenseal while Supremo loses Clotaire, and looks like Supremo is running a very rushy box as well. Yeah, he has Imelda, Iris, Akaya, and Estelle in this box, and a lot of these units have long range, except say Bozel and Ainz. I'm just kind of surprised this box doesn't run any assassins, because normally these kind of rush boxes have at least a few top tier assassins to just go around some of the more slower boxes. In any case, let's move on. So Campanella gets Lando first, and then Supremo bans out the healers, forcing a healer pick for second pick. And then Supremo goes first pick Ares, and honestly, I'm kind of confused about a lot of these first pick Ares, because Ares, like I have said, Ares is a very strong unit, but he does need a good amount of support to actually win matches. And my general playstyle, my general draft phase is I generally go for units that can either buff up, tank, or provide some utility to my box before I start picking my damage dealers. But yeah. So Campanella loses his healers, and he bans out both SP Elwyn and Marine, and then picks up Deedlit. And Deedlit is a good combat healer, so kind of lets him get away without using any healers for this fight. And then Campanella loses both Illustrial and Sage. Sage had to go because he really interferes with rush teams, and then Illustrial has just a lot of range, especially on maps with a lot of defensive terrain. And then Supremo picks up Imelda, which is a very good pick. Like, I think Ares is at the point where he can do a lot of damage and is very useful, but Campanella picks up Juggler this time, so it's going to be pretty hard to either go single target or AoE Ares on this, because Landius can take a single target hit pretty well, and Juggler can as well. But also Juggler can heal when he gets hit, so AoE Ares is kind of out of the question. So Campanella loses his Assassins, and then Supremo picks up Bozal, which I'm kind of confused by. Like, I would imagine he probably wants somebody like Rosalia, or even his Horse Juggler, because Horse Juggler can lock down units, lock down Campanella's tanks, or Rosalia can throw down her swords to buff up his team and just hit really hard as well. In any case, Noemi is picked. Very solid pick, because he doesn't. Supremo doesn't have any assassins to deal with her, and then Campanella loses both Ares and SP Elwyn, and then Supremo loses Akaya and Leon, and then Campanella picks up Rosalia. Very solid pick. Has a lot of. She has a lot of range, and for Supremo's tankless team, she's going to be very effective since she can pretty much one-shot anything. I didn't notice Supremo picked up Estelle. I'm kind of iffy on that. But, yeah, honestly, I don't think Supremo is going to be able to do much with Estelle besides just buff, because Estelle doesn't guard magic at all. So essentially that Bozal's going to be stuck to Estelle pretty much the entire match. And then I think what he's going to try to do is he's going to try to throw in his Ares as soon as possible. Oh, that's an interesting defensive play. So yeah, Campanella throws down Rosalia's sword to buff up his tank's stats. I'm also kind of surprised Supremo didn't use. Oh, he's probably going to use Attack Blessing this turn, so never mind. This is curious. So it looks like Supremo's going to just. Oh, he's an AoE Ares. No wonder he didn't use. No wonder he didn't use whatchamacallit. So yeah, this. Yeah. Both Rosalia and. Yeah, Rosalia and Noemi are going to survive that hit. And yeah, this match is pretty much over now, because Supremo only has supports and Bozal left, and Bozal's not going to do a lot of damage, and he can get that Estelle. I'm not too sure if that Estelle will be able to deal with, say, Rosalia. Rosalia. Plus, Juggler can pretty much lock down Estelle if need be, and now Campanella's just positioning very well. Like, he's not in a spot where, he's positioning himself in a way that's, he's positioning him in a way where, he's positioning in a way where Bozal's stuff isn't going to be very useful. But I'm surprised Campanella's playing so cautiously. It's probably because his Deedlit already used Sea of Miracle, so he's not going to be able to deal with AoE that much, and then Campanella just throws in his Juggler and pretty much locks down his Estelle. So that's it's just gonna run in and take out that. He's just gonna take out the Tiaris, and then oh, never mind. So Bozal just dies, and this is pretty much game. Yeah. So overall, I just kind of think Supremo, I think his picks were kind of iffy, and Campanella did a pretty good job at positioning, so yeah. So let's go to game 2. Okay, so we go with another Resin Seal band, so looks like Supremo is probably going to try to go for another AoE strategy, while Campanella bans out Clotaire, which pretty much tells me that Campanella's team doesn't have a lot of fixed damage immunity. But who knows? I don't. So this time, Supremo goes with the first pick, SP Elwyn, which is not a bad pick. It's just I kind of feel like SP Elwyn can't really be used as a primary damage dealer, since he's pretty much fully shut down by units with Lancer troops, which is basically every major tank. Okay, so Supremo loses both Ares and Reen, and I'm just kind of thinking Supremo probably would probably want to first pick Reen or Akaya, so he could give more threat range to pretty much all of his damage dealers. In any case, oh dear. So Illustrial is picked, and she's gonna apply so much pressure to Supremo, because Illustrial's best map is Windy Outpost, because there's so much defensive terrain that she can just ignore. And next is Rosalia. Not a bad pick. She has some potential to one-shot juggler, and she has a lot of range, but we'll see. Okay. So the next pick is, oh, finally Akaya. I'm surprised you didn't pick her earlier. Okay, so he loses Juggler and Bozel, and then Campanella picks up whatchamacallit, Andius next. I'm just still kind of curious why, if Supremo is playing a primarily rush box, I'm surprised he's letting so many tanks go, like double tanks, go through. It's kind of odd, but oh, and that Leon is Royal Knight as well. Oh geez. Yeah, the thing about Royal Knight on Leon is that it has significantly less attack than his other class, so yeah. And let's just look at the threat range for Campanella. Yeah, this is just why Illustrial is so annoying to deal with on this map, but yeah, because she can just pretty much ignore all this terrain and just have a billion range. So yeah, Supremo's in a bit of a bind since he can't really run up and rush the enemy. So let's kind of just look at Leon's threat range. Like, he would be able to actually run in and reach both his tanks, and same with Rosalia, because she can move another 6 spaces with both her skills. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So yeah, it's kind of gonna be it's gonna be hard to actually bust through this setup because D-Lit can heal up so much, but we'll see. So essentially, Supremo applies Wild Power, which gives a lot more movement to him and allows him to just run in and slap somebody. And honestly, I think he should have saved Rosalia, because she's the one who will actually be doing any damage to both of his tanks. And oh man, that's unfortunate. Yeah, and Rosalia just whiffs the kill by a little bit, and now she's gonna die. Yeah, honestly, I think he probably would have wanted to send in Leon first, because honestly, Leon is not going to be doing much. Or he would have wanted to send in Elwyn first, because Elwyn can just prevent the healing like that. And then, yeah, Juggler goes down. But yeah, at this point, he has no way to break through Landius. So pretty much Campanella's won this already, and all but name. And Elwyn loses his first life, which isn't too surprising. And then Illustrial roundabouts back into range of Landius's guard, so Elwyn can't kill him, and then Elwyn goes down. So yeah, what I would say about this game is Supremo probably would have wanted to rethink who he sent in first, and then what kind of units he was using, because he was pretty much using mono cav and pretty much got walled out by just Lancer troops. So yeah, Leon's pretty much stuck in the back doing nothing because Illustrial has a billion range on this map, and yeah, this is pretty much game. Let's just see how many more moves Supremo does before he realizes that he lost. Oh, never mind. That was his last move. So yeah, overall, I think Campanella had a very good draft phase and did a very good job at exploiting the weaknesses in Supremo's box. What I'd say for Supremo is he really needs to improve his draft phase because he essentially didn't build any win conditions for himself in both matches. So maybe think about, if you're watching this Supremo, maybe just go back and think about what when you'd ban what and when you'd pick which unit. But there's always ways to improve your game. Like even after I play matches where I win or lose, I always go over them just to see what I could what moves I could improve and what efficiencies I could add to my game. Okay, on to the next set of games. Okay, so the next game will be Roylee versus King P. One moment. Let me just pull that up. Cross server, add friend, and Roylee. Whoop. Roylee. And what? Oh. Oh dear. I don't know what server Roylee is part of, so I'll just go through all of them. Okay, Baldea, let's search that. Dalsis, search this. Raygard, search this. Rocky Valley, nope. Carmen City. Emerald Gate. Elsa City. Roga Valley. Dark Cave. This one. Mirror Port. Crossroads. Nope. Floating City. Nope. Larkus. Nope. Okay, here we go. Regular. So let's check his name card and pull up these matches. So it's Roylee versus King P. So let's just do a quick box breakdown. So let's see. So Roylee is running up five tanks. Geez, that's quite a bit. With a bit of a dash of time and strat. Ooh, this is a very interesting box, to say the least. Very on meta, to say. Yeah, it's not very on meta. But, yeah. Okay. So, yeah, I'm kind of interested to see how Roylee's going to pick in this match. And I'm just going to say this is a pretty meta box with 3 tanks, SPL win, Rosenseal, Bozel, and pretty much all your favorites you usually see in Apex. So, looks like Roylee bans out Landius first, which I think that's a pretty good pick, though. Yeah, well, actually, I'm not 100% sure, because that signals that he wants to go single target, but he left Albedo. But in any case, looks like Roylee picks up Sage, which actually I think is a pretty good pick, because 1, he has a faction buff, and 2, he can lay down his special terrain, which will make any rush units like Ares, SP Elwyn, and even Yulia, if she doesn't have the right troops, have a hard time moving around. So King P gets rid of some mythical faction units and then picks up Albedo, because that pretty much leaves all single target units in his box, and Albedo can tank single targets very well. Okay, so next bans are the faction buffers for Dark, so Albedo can't get any faction buffs. And then Roylee picks up Gizaroff, which will buff up his Sage and buffs up a few other units in his box as well. And then King P picks up Zerida so he can assassinate any other units Roylee picks, and then Roylee picks up Lanford, which very good. I think it's a fine pick, especially for this map, and also he probably has Mech Knights. So yeah, and then King P picks up Sophia, so Albedo can actually get a buff, and then Roylee picks up Imelda for the movement buff and the damage buff, and then King P picks up Sage, and then Roylee picks up Sophia for the semi-faction buff, I guess. And then King P is left with Yulia and picks her. So looks like let's see what skills Roylee is actually running on his team, because it's fairly interesting. Okay, so pretty much standard stuff on Gizaroff, standard stuff on Imelda, standard stuff on Sophia. Yeah, and it looks like Roylee is pretty much going to be using Lanford as his carry, and that he's going to try to just kill off the key units with Lanford. Let's see how this goes. And then, yeah, pretty standard stuff on King P as well. Just note that Sage is buffing up Zerida, and then this Albedo brought Shield Bash. Other than that, pretty standard. So it looks like King P is rushing up, which I'm kind of curious about, because honestly he can take as much time as he needs to get set up, but I suppose it's to take the center first. Okay, so essentially Lanford is going forward and applying a lot of pressure, but I'm kind of curious to see what Roylee is doing. Okay, so Sage sets up his faction buff, buffs up 4 of his units, and then, yeah, moves his Lanford back, and then Roylee loses his construct, and it uses self-destruct, which gets rid of some of King P's buffs on it. So Roylee applies Light Array, and I wonder if that's to bait out his Zerida. Okay. So Lanford gets Queen's Whipped, and looks like he's gonna charge him next turn, and then Sophia uses Rewind to get his cooldowns back. King P is just continuing to push forward. Yeah, I'm kind of curious how this will turn out, because essentially Roylee is probably gonna burn out both Imelda and Sophia's moves first, since they really can't do much at this point. And then, yeah, it looks... Regenerate on the construct. And then Roylee applies Light Array again, so Yulia will have a lot more trouble. Yeah, just thinking back, King Pri probably didn't need to bring unicorns on this map. He could have just brought, like, zealots or something, and it would have achieved the same effect, but just not allowing him to be affected by Sage. So Gizaroff uses his faction buff, and yeah, it looks like they're just burning turns at this moment, and they're waiting for someone to make a move. Okay. Oh. Interesting. Okay, yeah, that was a good move, because that pretty much stalled. Oh, man. So, yeah, honestly, yeah, that was a big mistake on King P's part. Essentially, King P wanted to guard both his old Landius and his Sophia, but what he should have focused on guarding his back line instead, because his Sage had a revive. He wasn't going to die to Lanford anyways, and Lanford had all this movement due to Mechanical Knights and the Queen's Whip faction buff. So that pretty much just allowed Roylee to whip around and take out his Zerida. Though I think that pretty much leaves his Lanford to getting picked up by his Yulia. Oh yeah, wow, geez, that Lanford really doesn't have a lot of attack. So yeah, that Lanford's gonna die. So it looks like Roylee's gonna have to win with his Imelda, Gizaroff, and Sage, and they're not heavy. They're not the best of damage dealers, and um, King P still has all his Albedo, who is gonna just tank any single target hits fairly well. But we'll see how this plays out. Okay, so looks like we're just repositioning after that very good pick by Roylee. And then, yeah, looks like we're just getting back into neutral game. And then King P resets all of his cooldowns with Rewind. Ah, I see. So that pretty much opens up King P's backline, but King P just gets rid of the slow debuff. Okay, so Gizaroff takes out Albedo's soldiers and doesn't really do much after that. And then... oh wow, another one. So yeah, this Yulia's just getting pushed back so many times it's getting silly. And did Roylee get another clock on this Sage? Oh man, this is a riot. Okay, so Sage is protected, and then Roylee's just buffing up his Gizaroff so his Gizaroff doesn't die off. And, oh wow, Gizaroff lives with barely any HP left. And then Roylee just pushes him back again. And that Yulia's dead. Oh man, this is so cheesy. Holy moly. I feel bad for King P. Wow. Oh wow. So yeah, Sophia is gonna die to Fog. And then... oh my god, it's so cheesy. Holy moly. Oh, and then King P just gets back in because it looks like Yulia had a speed buff. So yeah, she gets back in and heals up his Sage. And then Gizaroff goes in and hits his Yulia. Interesting. I'm surprised he hasn't sent in his construct yet. So yeah, this Yulia's actually gonna die. Yep. Yeah, Gizaroff's construct actually has a lot of magic defense, because Gizaroff in general has a lot of magic defense. So yeah, looks like King P pushes back Roylee, and then Roylee blows up his construct right in King P's face, and did this... oh. Huh, that's a curious choice. Oh, I think it's to block off both Imelda and... well, it's to block... huh, what is this move? Oh, it's to block off Sophia, but Sophia has already moved. She's pretty much... you can't really do much to her at this moment, so yeah. It would have probably been smart to protect stage, but... say... yeah. Yeah, but this would be a really difficult fight. King P is in a really difficult spot right now because he has no healers except for Old Landius, and he's pretty much... Old Landius is dead now. So yeah, this is pretty much over. Oh jeez, I really feel bad for King P. Just all those clock procs on Old Landius just really wow. Just it won that royally, that match. But I have to admit that pick on Zerato was also very good. Okay, so next match. So yeah, it doesn't look like there's any changes to either box. So let's see how this goes. Yeah, I know, no kidding, Zero Gears. Xeno Gear Cap, that match was very cheesy. And, oh wow, King P actually loses all of his tanks at this moment, so... yeah, I'm just kind of curious why he first picked Rosenseal, because I count pretty much, like, Gizaroff's probably the only unit in Roylee's entire box that can apply debuffs in a meaningful way. Like, sure, there's Jugglers... 3C, and then Yulia's Holy Justice, but otherwise, pretty much this box doesn't do any debuffs, so probably would have been smarter for King P to just pick up a tank. In case, yeah. So ban out the, yeah. King P goes for the bans on the mythical realm units, which smart, but if he's gonna go for SPL, then he probably would have wanted to ban out the tanks, or he would have wanted picked up his own Sage so he could deal with Roylee's Sage's glare stuff. So Roylee's pretty much going with the same picks he got last time. And then King P is going for a more rush-centric box, but I think that's going to be pretty tough without any units that can buff up movement. Like, honestly, I would have probably picked up Zerida at this point because she's not affected by Sage. Yeah, and King P is just picking all these units with either long range or revives, and that's mostly to deal with Lanford. Like, wow. I'm surprised King P is pretty much giving Roylee the exact same stuff that he did last time, because it's a very good combination. Okay, so pretty much looks like King P is just positioning himself in a way where he can just rush in and hit all Roylee's units with his heavy single target box. And then Roylee is just moving back to be a bit more defensive. And I'm kind of curious why Elwyn didn't just faction buff there. Oh, it's because he's not running faction buff. He's running both Force of Will, his new SP skills, and Sword Soul. Interesting. And blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I don't think Force of Will... Well, it's okay in this box, but he doesn't really have all Russian units that will essentially go in and die, so kind of curious about that. And then again, as I mentioned in my in the last match, he probably wants to give Yulia other soldiers besides unicorns, because Yulia can just bypass this glare. But whatever. And then, oh, I see. So King P brought faction buff on Rosenseal, so she could buff up SP Elwyn, which it's not a bad strategy. It's just, I think it would probably work a little bit better if he was using tank. Well, yeah, I think it would have worked a little bit better if he was using tank push instead. Oh, and this time Roylee buffs up Gizroff. That's interesting. Oh, I think I know what he's gonna try to do. He's gonna try to make a very meaty construct. Okay, I want to see this big old meatball and see all of its crazy stats. This is gonna be fun. Okay, so Lanford goes in for the quick pick on Ares, and yeah, King P kind of lets that happen again, since I don't think he really knows how. Well, it's kind of tricky to see how Mech Knights work with units if you're not really familiar with Illustrial's mechanics. In any case, Lanford goes down, and then this construct is going to go in and wreck face. Oh boy, look at that damage. He gets rid of Elwyn's soldiers, and this is going to kill off Elwyn. Okay, 1 sec. I need to pause the video. I need to see how strong this construct is. Okay. Oh boy, that's a meaty construct! Oh man. This construct is gonna wreck face. So yeah, it goes in, kills off Elwyn. It's gonna take a hit from Rachel, but yeah. Oh, Dolly, he's gonna heal it up. It's still probably gonna die. It's Yulia can't move yet. I wonder if she's gonna get slapped with a light array. Okay, no. Oh yeah, Sage already used light array, so Yulia's going in, and she's gonna kill off this construct. But man, that was a funny meaty construct. Oh man, meaty constructs. Thick meaty ball. That was on thick meatball. This game is silly. Okay, so in all seriousness, it looks like Roylee is gonna be turtling a little bit more, but that's not a great move because yeah, Gizeroff can just get a free hit on Rachel, almost kills her off, and then is able to move back due to the glare. And I'm surprised Roylee didn't actually go in for the kill with Imelda. Yeah, like 1 second. Yeah, Imelda could have just gone in and just auto attacked that Rachel and killed her off. Yeah, I'm surprised he didn't do that, because he can easily finish off that Yulia even with all of her buffs. Well, whatever. Roylee moves... Yeah, Roylee moves back, and he's just prepping to go in. And he's probably just waiting out the Yulia's Godly Menace, which, smart move. But, yeah. So, yeah, Yulia Godly Menaces, and Roylee's Sage probably has a Medring or a Bracer. Oh, no, it's not the Medring, it's, what's her name? It's Imelda's Iron Gauntlet thing. So, Sage loses his first life, no big deal. And then Sage moves back so she doesn't get completely killed, and then there goes Imelda. And hello everyone, it's just me going over a couple games. But yeah, this Roylee match has been complete degeneracy, I love it. Oh my god. Okay, so the construct goes in and attacks. There's no real safe way for King P to attack that construct, so yeah. So that construct is actually pretty safe, though I'm not 100% sure about that. Okay, looks like Rachel's skills are down, so he can't attack the Gizeroff quite yet. And then what's probably going to happen here is Roylee is going to just send in his construct, do a single targeted hit, or he's just going to Swan Song and then do a single target hit or something. Oh, I know what he's going to do. He's blocking off the Yulia, so she's stuck in fog. Very smart move. Very, very smart move. And then, oh, the Yulia's not quite in fog. But she will be next turn. And yeah, Rachel dies. Well, she doesn't die, the construct dies. Yeah, Gizeroff's construct is actually pretty tanky, especially if he's at full health. So yeah, Rosenseal is really not be able to do much right now. So Yulia is stuck in fog, and she loses her first life. It's going to get picked up by Gizeroff, and this match is pretty much over now. So yeah, good games, good games. I certainly wasn't expecting the 1700 attack construct, that's for sure. But yeah, Roylee played very well, even though his box isn't super meta. His positioning was fantastic. Just all the times he used his skills were just very on key, and he got pretty lucky with clock procs. I'd say King P, he has a very solid box. It's just he needs to improve his drafting skills a little bit more. I would say he needs to instead of picking like the very strong meta picks, he needs to look at his opponent's box first and then plan out what he wants to ban and what strategy he wants to build, and then go from there. Yeah, like if I had to relate that to something, I'd say it's something like how professional Smash players, they look at their opponent's characters and that rather than focusing on what they have, because from what I've experienced and what I can tell is that professional Smash players generally know, like through muscle memory, what their box does and their general weaknesses. And what they're looking for is waiting for any slip up from their opponent or to figure out the opponent's character's weaknesses. In any case, very good games, very interesting to say the least. And yeah, I'm on to the next one, and the next one is Newbie versus Santichai. And let me just pull that up. Okay, cross server, add friend, Salarath, and then Newbie. Okay, and then check name card, heroic moment, and then let's go to game 1. So, game 1, just quick box breakdown. You can kind of tell both boxes are fairly rush oriented. Like Santichai, he has Akaya and a bunch of long leg single target strikers. Newbie, he's actually, his box is a little bit less focused. It has a lot of time and space units in it, with some rush elements into it, because he has Clotaire, who has very, very long legs. He has a horse juggler, and he has both Ares, Rosalia, and then Leon. Yeah, but overall, his box is very space-time oriented. Anyways, next, Santichai, he picks up SP Elwyn, which smart move because Newbie doesn't really have any tanks in his box, and if he runs Lancers on his juggler, his movement's going to be highly impaired, and you probably bring horse jugglers because he has a lot of movement. In any case, on to the next ban. So looks like Newbie bans out Akaya and led in first, and I can understand both, but in all honesty, what's going to end up happening is just Elwyn's just going to buff himself and go in turn 2. So I would have probably gotten rid of more of his speed buffing units, such as Luna, or yeah, probably Luna, because she works incredibly well with this box. Iris is okay. It's just that if you teleport in a unit, it's just highly telegraphed, and with Newbie's box, you can probably just pick up that teleported unit. So Newbie loses Rosalia and Dog. Dog would have been able to tank Elwyn, and then Rosalia, it just has really long legs, which could compete with Santichai. Newbie picks up Hiei, and it's pretty clear from his first pick, Yusuke, that he's going to just go full space-time in this match. Santichai is pretty much picking up all the... Well, he pretty much has all the support he really needs to just clinch out this match. So, what's next? So yeah, very good pick, because Zerda can buff up Hiei. Yeah, I'm just kind of curious what Newbie's thinking with all these bans, because it kind of feels like he's banning out the wrong units banning out the wrong units at the wrong time. So yeah, it looks like Newbie is pretty much left with Joshua and Astram, and looks like Newbie picks up Astram because he has revivals, so he can better survive Santichai's box. And it looks like Newbie actually picked up Leonhardt so he can mess with the Act Again stuff. But the thing is, Leonhardt needs like a turn to set up, and then he has to put himself in danger to actually get off his Fusion Dark Emperor's sword. But that's neither here nor there right now. But yeah, I don't see that I don't really see a good way for Newbie to clinch this out, because he just has so much less range than Santichai at this point. And then Luna Wind God's Realms and then buffs herself up. And then Ares, this actually surprised me, but in retrospect, it's very good, because Ares is just going to move here and use his single target skill, and you kind of have to realize that Santichai spaced out his units, so Ares only gets 1 stack of his talent, so he's only getting an extra 5 attack. So Ares goes in and Noble charges the Luna, gets a crit hit, and leaves Luna with very little HP left. And at this point, I realized that Santichai is running a... he's running a Bracer Lacerates Luna. So pretty much this Luna survives with just barely any HP. And I'm just kind of thinking, wow, that's a very good Luna, and he got very lucky. But just to make this margin a little bit slimmer, he probably would have wanted to run Griffin Knight instead. In any case, this area is pretty much dead. So Santichai just goes in and kills off what's his name? Yeah, he goes and kills off Luna with his Dark Dragon Flame. Unfortunately, Hiei doesn't have enough movement to actually kill off the opposing Hiei, so he just moves him back into a safer position. But unfortunately, what Newbie forgot is that Hiei can pretty much go in, kill off the Ares, and then he gets to move another 4 spaces due to the Act Again portion of Hiei's Darkness, Dragon Flame, whatever. And so he can just move 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and kill off Hiei. So just a bit of bad placement on Newbie's part. Like, if Newbie placed his Hiei just 1 space back, his Hiei would have been safe. Unless this Hiei got a speed boost. And actually, in retrospect, this Hiei actually pretty much was dead meat no matter what. Because after getting a kill, this Hiei can move another 2 spaces due to the Zeratus faction buff. So yeah, this Hiei is going to go in and kill off his Newbie's Hiei. So yeah, that's kind of unfortunate. Unfortunately, that gives Newbie a chance to just go in and give Ashram a double revive. Like this. So yeah, Ashram goes in, kills off Hiei, activates the second part, well, the revival effect of Counter-Strike, and makes Ashram one revivey dude. So, okay, so Newbie instant transfers here, but I'm just kind of curious why he didn't instant transfer there instead. It might have been to ward off the Zerata, but I'm not 100% sure. Because I think... Well, actually, I'm not too sure if Leonhardt could survive an L1 Sword Soul with just Dark Lancers. Well, Dark Centurions. In any case, Santichai moves back, just saving his skill so he can get a pick. And then Leonhardt pretty much has to blow his instant transfer buff, and Santichai has to lose his Heart of Alisard buff, but he just reactivates it next turn, so it's not a huge deal. And then Newbie's just positioning in a very aggressive way so he can actually initiate and get himself done. Like, he places Ashram right outside the range of Zerata, so he doesn't blow any of his lives, but I think he's still in range of SP Elwyn. I'm not going to look it up because I don't feel like it. Oh, yep, he's still in the range of SP Elwyn, so yeah, Ashram's in a bit of a pickle, but not too much of a pickle. So yeah, Ashram is at the point where he can't heal, and he's still has a revival left, so he's still a bit safe, but yeah. And here's actually a pretty interesting thing. This Elwyn actually has Blood Pact for some reason. Or, 1 second. Oh wait, no, never mind. It's the immunity to all debuffs effect from Reign of Glory, so never mind, I was not thinking. I kind of have to wonder why he attacked Yusuke here, because Yusuke pretty much blew all his stuff and is pretty much useless at this point. He probably would have wanted to try to go after Leonhardt, but Leonhardt probably would survive with his Dark Centurions, and then Ashram would have just revived after dying again. But yeah, yeah, so it looks like Elwyn goes down to Ashram. Unfortunately, Ashram doesn't get another... Yeah, unfortunately, Ashram doesn't get another... he doesn't get another light. Didn't have Counter-Strike up again, so he couldn't get another life. So, that's unfortunate. So, pretty much, we're kind of in a neutral game where Zerata has a billion movement, but her Heart of Alisard is not back up. And then there's Tiaris, just keeping her alive. So the thing about Newbie actually has, Newbie really should go back in at this point. Like, okay, yeah, it looks like. Oh wait, Leonhardt can hit that Zerida. Like, Zerida doesn't have last rights up, and her Hellfire archers are pretty low. I'm surprised he didn't try to go in and finish off Zerida with a normal attack. Yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of questioning that call because what he probably wanted to do at that point is just teleport in so Zerida can't get the hide and seek buff. But who knows? But yeah, I think Newbie really should have tried to kill off that Zerida with a normal attack. Because right now he's pretty much stuck in a corner because Zerida has all the range now. And then Zerida kills off Ashram's first life, other life, and yeah, doesn't quite kill off the Ashram. Oh man, I'm surprised he didn't actually try to send in Ashram first, but well, actually Ashram would have just died even with his attack first skill. Anyways, this game is pretty much set. Ashram can't really do much. And then Leonhardt is pretty much dead. So yeah, very good. It was a very close game. I think Newbie should have hedged his bets and just gone in and tried to kill that Zerida on that last turn instead of teleporting away, but who knows. So here's the next game. Okay, so looks like Newbie gets rid of Juggler first. Santichai returns the same, and then he picks Ledin, and I'm not a huge fan of Ledin, to be honest. He's just not super tanky. His 3C is not the best, and yeah. So looks like Santichai is just banning out the faction buffer, so Reen can't just do a lot of damage to him, which fair. But the thing is, I don't think that's the best idea, because even though Reen has 4 movement after transforming, it's still not a lot compared to like the 9 movements that Santichai's box has. But that's neither here nor well. He also banned out Juggler, so Newbie wouldn't be able to guard against any of those single target strikes as well. Okay, so looks like Santichai is getting rid of the AoE stuff, and then he loses some mobility support and single target support with Weiler and Iris. Clotaire gets picked next, which it's always fun. I always feel like Clotaire is pretty much does this box have a lot of fixed damage immunity? If not, that's gonna be troublesome. Oh yeah, and just to note that Leon gets picked 4th, and he's able to buff up Elwyn and both Elwyn and Clotaire, so that Clotaire is going to be hitting hard. Oh, and then he gets Leonhardt. So yeah, as you can kind of see, Newbie's strategy is run in and kill everything with AoEs / single target stuff. And Santichai is pretty much I'm going to hang back and not die strategy. So it's very tank pushy, which is kind of odd, because it doesn't seem like Santichai really runs that playstyle very often. Like, honestly, if you want to like run full rush, I think it'd probably be better to just replace Ledin with Leon, because Leon can buff up Elwyn if he's just using Ledin to buff up Elwyn. In any case, here's the big I'm checking if you have fixed image attack, and it looks like only Luna has fixed damage immunity. And surprisingly, Clotaire actually does a bit of decent damage, and it's kind of tempting me to actually build him up, because just the melee mage seems like a very interesting character. In any case, Clotaire dies, and then Toguro heals up a bit from healing light, and then Newbie's just going in, and he's gonna not position very aggressively, which is actually that's not a terrible idea because what Santichai can do is he can just use the transform skill and kill off Leonhardt, and it'd be a pretty easy kill since the Toguro has attack blessing. I'm just gonna Toguro probably would have some trouble busting through Leonhardt in that position though, so the only one he can really go for is Elwyn safely, and Elwyn pretty much dies immediately. And so, yeah, Newbie uses his Fusion Dark Emperor Sword to get the act again on Leonhardt, and he's just going to go in and single target strike the Ledin, and the Ledin dies. And the thing about Ledin is he's just not super tanky for a tank, which is kind of disappointing. Okay, so Leon just goes in and takes out Luna, and Santichai is in a very difficult spot because he only really has Zerida, who can pretty much only attack every other turn. And then he has to get through all these single target units with a bunch of revives and a bunch of long legs. And yeah, that's a pretty big ask for a Zerida. So yeah, Leon just goes in, takes out Tiaris, and this match is pretty much over since it's pretty much a 2v4. And just here, I'm just kind of curious why Newbie didn't use Termination Arene's 3C, because the debuffs from that are just so much more effective. In any case, this is pretty much all already over. So Owen goes in, doesn't heal up for 60%, even though he could, and then takes out Zerida. Okay, so pretty interesting matches. I'd say Santichai and Newbie are both pretty much equally skilled. I just feel like they need to Newbie probably needs to be a little bit more risky, or get a little bit more used to taking risks, because just that in game one where he didn't risk his Leonhardt for the Zerida pretty much cost him the match. For Santichai, I think he just messed up in the second game via drafting, and just I kind of feel like if he wanted to run SP Elwyn, he should have just picked SP Elwyn first and not gone for the first pick Ledin, because essentially you're stuck with first pick Ledin, and first pick Ledin's not that great. I guess I believe I have one last one, and it is MeowSensei versus Rolendi, and I will pull that up in a second. So, 1 second. Add friend. MeowSensei. Say. Analysis. And Baral. Where is Baral? And MeowSensei. 1 second. Checking name card. And Heroic Moment. Okay, so Sigfer, Rolendi. Okay, so, well, this is not the match I was looking for. So, okay, so the first one against Sigfer, Rolendi. Okay, here we go. Okay, just a quick analysis of the boxes. Looks like MeowSensei has a bit of rush mixed in with time space, which is kind of interesting, but also makes sense. Also, we get to see how first ban Omega, which is interesting, which I could kind of see why, because looks like Sigfer's entire box doesn't have a ton of skill, so what would probably end up happening if MeowSensei got Omega is he'd just pretty much run past all of Sigfer's tanks and just one-shot all of his units. Well, except probably Listel, but that's neither here nor there since he got banned. In any case, I didn't look at Sigfer's, but Sigfer's box is kind of interesting. It's another 4-tank box with Betty, Albedo, and Ledin. And it has a lot of emphasis on dark, so what I imagine would happen is Sigfer just first picks Bozal. But we'll see if that happens. Oh, MeowSensei first picks Bozal. Okay, so Sigfer, I believe, yeah, he bans out 2 units that can receive buffs from Bozal, which honestly, the Liana ban I honestly don't think was very useful because he has both Albedo and Landius to tank hits from single target skills, and then he also has Betty to reduce AoE damage. So yeah, first pick Betty, that's fun. Okay, so let's look into this a little bit. So this is kind of a standard healer ban where it forces which is forcing Sigfer Rolendi's Rolendi to pick up a healer second, but I don't think that's super effective since Sigfer pretty much has 4 healers left. So what I'd probably do for Sigfer is just pick up Bozal at this point and ban out his healers that can get rid of debuffs. In any case, second pick Listel. That's pretty bold. Like, Listel is a good unit and all, but the thing is, she is completely messed up by fixed damage immunity, and you can't really control it. You can't really tell if a unit is immune to fixed damage. Okay, why didn't MeowSensei? I'm just kind of curious. Why didn't you ban out Bozal yet? Because Bozal's gonna be able to buff up these 3, and it's not gonna be pleasant to deal with. Okay, so third pick Albedo. That'll give him some single target safety, but I don't think that's really the issue, and I have to kind of question why Sigfer is picking up TRS. It's probably for the dispels, but honestly, you should have third picked Bozal at this point. So okay, so so it looks like Sigfer banned out Liana and Imelda last turn. I'm not super on board with it. In any case, yeah, it looks like Rolendi is going for just like a full dark team, and honestly, I would not have picked up Listel at that point. I really think Renata probably would have been a better pick since Renata could pretty much assassinate any AoE units after any AoEs were dropped. Yeah. So instead, Lennon goes in and he's able to buff up Listel, though Listel could have already received a buff from Licorice. Yeah, like this. I wonder if Rolendi forgot that or not. Who knows? So yeah, it looks like he's keeping Tyros close to his team, which that's kind of scary in my opinion because Bozal can potentially just silence his entire team with a single earthquake, and not being able to heal with Tiaris or Licorice will hurt a lot. So MeowSensei is just guarding, and then Rolendi is guarding. Aryan Road gains Stack for Talent. Rolendi throws on Mass Resist, which very good pick because that will be able to resist. Does this Tiaris have the new accessory? Oh my god. Oh man, that's great. Oh man. No wonder this TRS has such low int. Okay, so Rolendi throws in Blood Dance, does no damage to Listel, no damage to herself, but a lot of damage to Aryan Road, and this is gonna hurt Rolendi a lot because Aryan Road's just gonna go in, use Grand Cross, and then Armor Pierce for some reason. Whatever. Oh, I think he was hesitating because he didn't want to get killed off by Betty, but that's his own fault for picking Aryan Road into Betty. So MeowSensei is playing a little bit more defensively now. And I think what he's going to try to do is he's going to try to wait till Betty gets into... Oh, never mind. Well, what I was going to say is he's probably going to wait for Betty to get into a bad position after the stun debuff wears off and throw sleep on her. Because Betty's talent actually isn't active when she's stunned. So what could have happened is MeowSensei could stun Betty and then just throw down all of his AoEs for free. But that didn't happen. So Betty just goes in and is just being a general pest. And it looks like, well, it seems like this is going to be a very slow, well, this is already a slow game, but I think what MeowSensei is going to try to do is he's going to try, well, Rolendi is actually claiming the center, so he has the advantage of the fog to back him up, while MeowSensei is just pretty much waiting for his debuffs to go down. MeowSensei throws down a Mind Bore, so he can't get almost pretty much his entire team can't get healed, but Licorice pretty much removes that all. And then Listel takes a ton of damage and gets heal reverse, so she's pretty much dead at this point. And then MeowSensei throws down an Earthquake, does a lot of damage. However, he's going to eat a ton of damage in return. Oh man, this TR her healing is so low. So low. Oh my god. Also, hey Celtis. How's it going? But yeah, this TRS just healed for nothing. So Licorice just throws down her... Oh wow. Yeah, throws down a Dark Dragon buff, nearly dies, and then applies her terrain to Sigfer's entire team, and what's going to end up happening is Aryan Road's going to go in, kill off probably 4 units, and then take minimal damage from Betty's talent, but we'll see. Oh, Landius is probably going to die. Oh, no, he has a bracer, so he's fine. Never mind, he doesn't have a bracer. So, Grand Cross, and then kills off pretty much Rolendi's entire team. Dispels a bunch of buffs, kills off Betty, wow. Okay. Okay, yeah, that Betty was really low. So, yeah, pretty much dunks Rolendi's entire team and wins him the match. And with Betty gone, Aryan Road gets to attack for free and wins the game. So, yeah, very fun, interesting game, but holy moly, that draft phase was very painful to watch. Like, let me just go over that. Just go over that for a second. So yeah, first ban Omega, it's okay, I guess, but I'm not a huge fan. First ban Juggler on this map in a box with 4 tanks. I can see it, but first pick Bozel, very very solid for MeowSensei because a lot of his box is dark faction. I would not have banned out both. Well, I wouldn't have banned out both. What's his name? Ashram and Lana here, but because Sigfer already had 2 good single target tanks already, but he insisted on picking Betty. Like, honestly, probably would have been better for Rolendi to just pick up Rosenseal here, because Bozel would have a much harder time applying debuffs. But he goes first pick Betty, which first pick Betty is terrible. Like, she's a good anti-AoE, but overall, first pick Betty just does not give you a lot of tools to work with. Second pick Listel, it's fine. It's just you're putting yourself at a lot of risk because the opposing team may have a lot of fixed damage immunity, which is very good. At top levels. Next ban is Ares and Juggler. Just looking off what MeowSensei had already picked, I probably would have gotten rid of Albedo Albedo and then Juggler, because then he would be more vulnerable to single target strikes and Ares specifically. But Licorice, second pick here, fine, because he also is a very heavy dark team. And then he loses Ares and Leanna, which are fine. MeowSensei gets Albedo, which very good because his, Bozel can already buff all of that stuff, but he loses Imelda and Leanna. But that's not too much of a big deal since he still has Licorice to pick. And then this TRS pick was not good at all. I'll say that out loud. Like, this TRS one does not... she doesn't have much utility against this team, against what MeowSensei has already picked. Like, sure, she may be able to dispel a few buffs with Mass Heal or Goddess Tier, but she still has to put herself at risk. And he had a perfectly good Bozel to pick up right here, and you could have just used Licorice as your main healer. In any case, he loses Bozelware, and I'm just kind of shaking my head right now. And then he lets Licorice go through, which not great. And then he bans Outreen and Tree Sage, which very good. Those are very good bans given what was left. And then fourth pick Listel, perfectly fine to pick her, but personally I would have picked Renata right there because one. Licorice can already buff her. 2, she can function as very good anti-AoE since all MeowSensei has left is anti-AoE or AoE units. So basically, once he drops an AoE, Renata would just go in and assassinate that unit and gain the revival effect. And then after, but he doesn't pick Renata, loses her, and then is left with a double tank situation, which it's very bad. Like, if you're running 4 tanks, don't first pick a tank because you will have plenty of tanks to run with, and you'll probably want to use better units with better utility than, say, Betty. In any case, that's all I really wanted to go over. Just very rough draft fate. Rolendi really needs to improve his draft phasing. Otherwise, his box is very solid. Like, he just did not pick the correct units at the right time, and it cost him the match. MeowSensei, I would say, very solid box. He pretty much played as well as he could have with what he had and what he had to deal with. In any case, I think that's all the matches that I had to review, so yeah, thanks for watching, everyone. I will get this posted to YouTube as soon as possible, and yeah, take care. Bye.